My microphone's working. I forgot for this. Okay. Well, let's see what's going on here. Seems a little bit. It's saying my internet connection's a little bit off. Uh, Figured out my audio was, you know. Anyways, let's just relax into this. So, hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the live show for today. Doing a little bit of pivoting in the moment. I was supposed to be doing an interview tonight, and my guest had to cancel. So I was like, well, what better thing than to do a conversation about sex and intimacy? Gotta just love throwing myself into the fire on this one. But it's this topic that I'm going to be diving into, very relevant to the just the conversations that I've been having, conversations that I've had in the past, and a place that I really like to support men around. Of course, if there's the opportunity to support women as well, but generally this is a conversation that I've been having with men, and it's a fun one. It's a fun one. It can be awkward and exciting and deep all at once. So looking forward to that. And you're probably like, well, what's the topic? Well, I'm going to get into that. Um, Couple things I'll just share, since this is probably the live video I'll do for the week. So I'm really excited. Joe Duramo, if you're going to be watching this later, I'm actually signed up to do the new Warrior Adventure training with Mankind Project next weekend. And it was on a bit of a whim just to sign up for this thing. It's basically a full weekend experience where you get to be in the company of men, and I don't know what to expect. I mean, I have some ideas, but I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm going to be doing that the following weekend, and been doing some cool stuff. If you've heard of an individual named Sad Guru, he's this Indian yogi who he's written a couple books. One called Inner Engineering, another one called Karma, and it was funny because I discovered him a few years back and dove into his work a little bit, in terms of meditations and just his philosophies for life. And then I kind of went away from it for a while. But I have his audiobooks, and recently just started getting back into it again a few months ago, and I'm kind of diving deeper a little bit. He's got a full program called Inner Engineering. It's just a video course that you can take. It's a unique format. You basically get access to these 7 hour and a half long videos, and you can't go back and rewind them. They try and mimic this live experience as much as possible. So um, yeah, it's been really cool. I've really enjoyed it so far. I'm about 3 videos in. I've got about 20 days to finish the next ones. And then after that, there is a bit of a workshop, an online workshop where you do you do basically 2 short days, 3 hour days, 2 hour days, something like that, of this meditation practice. And then there's a full day. And I know that there's somebody in my network, Eliezer Collins, who probably knows more about this than me. But yeah, I'm excited. It's been a really cool journey, and I've really liked that sort of dive into the spiritual, a little bit of inner work as well from taking that on. So those are a couple of things that are going on for me right now. And yeah, love to hear for yourself what you got going on these days as we head into the summer months. It hasn't felt like summer here up on the west coast of Canada. It's very much felt like uh, winter here a little bit. Maybe not as cold, but just a lot of rain, and we're expecting more rain. But overall, we're starting to get some of the hotter weather, so that's exciting. So that's what I got to share about myself. Again, I'd love, if there's anything going on for you that you'd like to put out into the world or share here, please feel free. Before I dive into the topic today, I wanted to throw this out there that, this video is being recorded in the No More Mr. Nice Guy group that I run, on my personal profile and on YouTube. And for the folks that are not in the No More Mr. Nice Guy community yet, If you are a male or you have men in your world who could really get an opportunity to belong with a community of men in a bit more of a private setting, I definitely recommend having them join our group. It's free. There's quite a few guys in there at this point, and it's just been an awesome experience. Every week there's some great things that is happening in there. So at the end of this recording, I'll provide a link to the group in the comments. And again, if you are in my personal network and you haven't joined it yet, please feel free to join us. Or if you know somebody in your network, a dad, a brother, a coworker who could really benefit from being in the company of men and have a tribe, a support network, feel free to either send them that link or even have them, you can connect them to me, or you can ask me for the details and I'll share them with you. Okay. So tonight we are diving into this topic around how the need to perform is killing intimacy in the bedroom. I said, initially, I think I said partner, but I really mean, anyone, whoever you are being intimate with. Um, Really interesting topic because, of course, it's one that as a society we're not really talking about. We don't talk about this sort of desire to perform in the bedroom and sort of being seen as like the greatest thing ever, and it leaves a lot of people frustrated and disappointed in either themselves, their partner, just the whole experience itself. So last week I recorded a video on eliminating pornography from one's life. And I kind of see this as, kind of a segue, at least a place to look from there, because oftentimes um, if there are problems with intimacy in the bedroom, pornography can sort of be like the gateway to go to, because well, it's easier to watch pornography than it is to be intimate in our relationships. And of course, there are many different flavors, variations of that, but it's one of the things that I've seen. And so tonight, I want to just dive into this topic a bit more and just shed some light on it, some places for people to look. And really, it's funny. I made a list of some places to look, but the first real key central piece is what is driving that need to perform. If you really stop and take a look at that, like what is it, that what need or desire or fear are you trying to satisfy by being a performer in the bedroom? And again, it might not even necessarily be you. Maybe there's been comments that have been made, and that's sort of been the result. So that's sort of the fundamental piece that I would have you connect to is what is really driving this need to perform. And if we look at that root issue, maybe it can help expand, in a more natural way. So the first real place to actually be connected to. Um, so from here, I'm going to talk about a few places to look. First one being around pornography. And again, my sort of thought process is going to be focused towards men. I definitely know the male audience much better than female. So if you are female and by chance you're watching this, know that I'm still talking to you, but really like the conversation I'm focused on, or at least the knowledge I have, and the place that I can support is with men. But I'm open to supporting another. Open to supporting females as well. That's my long-winded way of saying like this is all still a new place for me to even grow into as well, right? I'm not the ultimate expert at this stuff, but I've had an opportunity to witness and support people in this place. So I think I said the point, and I'll just say it again that like the first place to look at is to take pornography out of your life. Uh, if that's what's important to you, or if that's sort of like been sort of one of the gateways is that well we need to eliminate this thing for you. And so you could also expand this to, um, not watching porn or not diverting your energy to other people, other intimate partners, right? Um, and what I mean by that is that, like, if our energy is devoted to pornography and our energy is potentially devoted to other people, people that we're attracted to, who knows, secretary, barista, something like that. I don't know. That, like, notice that energy is being diverted away from the intimacy in your current relationship. So yes, I'm sort of talking about from the place of relationship, but this could apply. Okay, so I see that I'm sort of approaching it from a relationship perspective, and there's still elements there that even if you're not in a relationship, you could still focus on, right? So, like, even if you're not in a relationship, what if you didn't divert your energy to pornography, right? What if you actually diverted that into the people that you're dating, potentially in a relationship with? My guess is that there's automatically going to be a shift in the way that you're relating to intimacy. It's going to become more natural because there's not that, like, draw, that energy leakage that's happening from watching pornography. And oftentimes when we do watch pornography, it sort of twists the way that we look at performing in the bedroom, right? We kind of see, like, oh, like, we see how people are doing it in pornography, and then, like, people can say what they want, but over time that kind of becomes the way that we see things. So that's one of the first places to look, is like, well, if I want to drop the performance in the bedroom, the first place is to stop looking at the performance that's happening in pornography, or, like, those fantasies that you might have of other people, and actually directing that energy right back into the bedroom with your partner, or with, if you're dating with partners, romantic partners, whatever. So that's the first place I'd look. From there, this is where, we start to look at, like, okay, so now what about yourself? What about the expectations that you're holding on yourself? I kind of mentioned it, at the beginning of, like, what expectations are you holding on yourself, right? Where does this desire to perform come from? Is there something that's missing for you? Is there a fear that if you don't perform, that, like, you're going to be ridiculed or you're going to be judged? That's a place to look and notice how that sort of defines how one shows up in the bedroom. So really getting to that place of dropping expectations, dropping the need to perform, or making sure that your partner finishes, that type of thing, making sure that you finish, like, what, instead actually coming to a place of being more natural, being more in the moment, and being connected to the person that you're with. Big difference, right? A big difference of how you're showing up, because that means that there's not one specific way of how to do this, but, like, you get to stay flexible in the moment. You get to try different things. You get to have, maybe even, like, laugh or have fun a little bit, instead of making, sex and intimacy into this big, um, this big thing that's actually, like, can be scary and create fear. So, that's that next place to look, is that really dropping expectations and just allowing yourself to have more fun. Great place to sort of pivot to. Next place to look is having conversations with your partner or people that you're in relationship with, right? One of the things that I was sort of thinking about before recording this was, like, yeah, us as men, we generally don't like to admit that we might not be good at something or practicing something. We want to be the experts. We want to be seen as the best. And unfortunately, like, that can create distance. That can create a dynamic where, um, just nobody's satisfied, in the sense, really, that, like, well, partner's not going to be satisfied because they're not getting what they want, and then you're not going to be satisfied because you don't know how to, you're not willing to look at how to get better at this, or um, that type of thing. Kind of jumbling my words on that. So the place there is to be willing to drop that ego and just be with, like, okay, like, well, what if I didn't know everything? What if there's still places that I could get better, or and I don't even want to use the word better necessarily, but just like what are some places that I could expand on? And really being in conversation with each other, like having fun with it, right? May, even if as a man, like you came early, or your partner didn't finish, who cares, right? Like really ultimately, like at the end of the day, it's not a huge deal. It's only as big of a deal as if you make it. So being in partnership and really understanding, like, okay, well, if your partner's disappointed, well, are they communicating that to you? And not in a shameful way, but like, oh, like they didn't get their needs met, well, how could that potentially happen the next time? That's the key part here, is really being in partnership in this process, being honest, right? What if you actually went to the person that you're with and shared, like, oh, I'm noticing that like there's a real desire for me to perform here. I want you to feel good, bringing that to the forefront rather than trying to hide it and try to figure out these things on your own. I mean, let's be honest, we're adults here. We're not, you know, we're not, we don't have to have the ego in this anymore, like, be the best lover in the world. As much as, like, again, if you come from a healthy place, maybe, but like, notice that, like, what if the dynamic was is that you got to be in partnership, you got to have communication, and in that you work together to actually like create the best intimate experience. That sounds like a fun place to come from, rather than like having to perform out of that fear or that need, or from ego. So that's the last place. That's one of the places to look. And if I didn't mention, like, asking your partner, right? Like, hey, what do you like? what what are the things that turn you on? What are the ways that like we can like make this a really amazing experience for both of us? That's a real powerful place to look. And if I haven't mentioned it already, there are two people in this. If you notice that your desire is always to satisfy the other person because again there's that need to perform, well, like, that's only half the people in that, depending on what situation you're in, are getting quote unquote their needs met. And so really allowing yourself to also own that, like, hey, you've got needs too. And again, it's all in service of that, creating that natural environment, that place where you guys can come together and really create a place of intimacy, and connection from just being you guys, just being together. So, and I want to bring that back, again, as we've touched on some of these points, really connecting to where is that need coming to perform. And that might even be a place that you want to share in the comments, right? Or you can even message me on, like, what's the actual thing that's coming up for you there? And then really be with that. And then look at these other areas, because I can tell you right now that, like, dropping the need to perform for myself has made sex and intimacy way more fun, way more enjoyable, and like it's an exciting experience where, in the past, um, yes, like that desire to perform, like, yes, it made me feel good, but at the same time, like, there was a lot of anxiety and like, um I'll stick with that word, like anxiety, and like, oh, well, like, what if I don't show up well, or like, what if my partner isn't getting their needs met? That's a sucky place to be, because like then the experience is not even fun. It's just you're in your head a lot, and that's just it's not the place to be when it comes to intimacy in the bedroom. So, as I start to kind of wrap this up, I'm going to circle back to some of these places, and have this sit with you about, like, where are some places to look to drop that need for performance. First place is actually not watching porn, and like recognizing that like porn is a performance. These are people that are being paid to have sex, to create, this perfect world, perfect bodies, all that type of stuff. And so And there's that like performance happening right there, and then we take that back into, our lives where we are imperfect people, and mistakes happen, and things get, hot and sweaty. Well, like, it's not a fair representation of what sex looks like, or even intimacy looks like. So just by dropping that alone is going to create more of a natural intimacy in the relationship. Um, and with that one, I'll add this on to point two, is dropping those expectations, right? Dropping the way things should be, or the way things usually go, and just allowing yourself to be with, like, well, what if we just want to have fun, be playful, and create like a natural intimacy together? How can we do that, as opposed to, like, making sure that one person gets their needs met, at a specific time, and then sort of looping back? Like, that's automatic. That's stuff that can happen anytime, right? And so just allowing yourself to be more free, to be more natural in that way, by dropping expectations. Point three is having these conversations. Don't avoid the conversations that need to be had in the bedroom. Be open with your partner. Find out what their desires are. Share what your desires are. Share what some of your fears, or the things that are coming up for you, and create that connection together. Lose the ego. So if you feel like, if you're being told that, like, your partner's disappointed, or they didn't like something, instead of coming from ego, or feeling like, oh, you've got to figure this out on your own, ask. It's the easiest way to do this. Go back to your partner and ask what they need. They might be surprised that you're even asking. That's the gateway to creating more of the experience that you want. And then I'll loop back to this last point about, like, really getting connected to what's going on for you. Where is this desire for performance coming from? And slowly breaking that down, right? Is it even needed? If you let that desire for performance sort of dissipate into the air, how can you show up more naturally in this environment? Um, so last thing I'll say is, if you haven't read the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, I recommend you get it. But there's two specific chapters that Robert Glover talks about. Um, One chapter is basically getting the love you want, and then the second chapter is getting the sex you want. Both great, amazing, um, thought-provoking chapters on actually creating more intimacy in the bedroom, creating more authenticity as an individual. And they were huge catalysts for me in this area, just to bring more of my authentic self. So highly recommend that. And to wrap it up, again, if you aren't in the No More Mr. Nice Guy community with us, and you are male, don't wait any longer. Come join us. We've got some great conversations happening in that community. It's really high level stuff, and it's free. So if you're not in there yet, please feel free to come join us. And if you know a man in your life, a dad, brother, coworker, acquaintance, who you think could benefit from being with a community of men who are actually doing really powerful work together, have them come join us. I'll make sure to put a link in the comments below. You can also message me, and if you want to kind of inquire more about the community, I'll share some of the details with you, and let you know if it's the right direction to go or not. So with that, a little quiet tonight. Sometimes that's how it goes. Thanks for the people that did jump on, and had a chance to view this. And yeah, looking forward to chatting with you guys again soon. Bye for now.